actions. 2, 3, 4. Pull up here. Start the timer. He's good.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to In Defense of the Awkward Moment.
He's awkward, I'm moment.
Game of Thrones. Drilled Season 5 and also Season 6 here just this last week and change. And I figured that we would probably talk about them together this time. They kind of run together. All the stories kind of run together. In Season 5 was slow.
Season 5 was
right up, kind of until the very end of it. Season 5 was kind of slow. And a lot of the stories, they're just... Season 6 was better, but both Season 5 and 6, as they kind of run together, you're like, I'm waiting all of Season 5 and all of Season 6 for, like, the shit with the High Sparrow to go down. Mm-hmm. You know what's going to happen. Let's just skip to the end.
Get on with it.
Let's just Princess Bride this crap. And... it felt like that just 2 whole seasons to do some of this stuff. So we're going to talk about them together. They do kind of run together. It takes nearly 6 seasons for winter to finally
show up.
And when it does, it's like so far north it's still beyond the wall. Mm-hmm. Winter has just taken its sweet time. I've seen lots of PR stuff about White Walkers in
Toby, can I see Toby inside, please?
Toby.
Toby the half dog is joining us again. Anyway, you were saying
it takes nearly 6 seasons for winter to finally show up, and I've seen lots of PR material about White Walkers and King's Landing and yada 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 for season 7.
So Hardhome, the giant fight with the White Walkers at a place called Hardhome.
Indeed. That's not subtle.
Well, that fight occurs like, a few hundred miles away from the wall. Not even that.
Yeah.
But by the end of season 6, they're still not there.
Yeah. And at the end of
the only theory
season
I have,
1 or 2, when the White Walkers and the Army of Whites pass by Sam and just sort of, you're not worth it.
What's up?
They're within sight of the wall. So what did you just... we've left the gas on. And they turn around.
My only theory is that the Night's King figures he has to do something about the Three-Eyed Raven and Bran before he can go through the wall.
I guess.
But you would think they would at least hang out right outside just to let everybody know they're still there.
Yeah, and that's interesting. We're going out of order here now. But we'll touch on that and their ability to go through the...
Yeah.
We'll touch on that and their ability to go through the wall here in a minute. Characters. And I started being organized with my notes and then realized that I just had so much of it that it really just didn't matter. Daenerys Stormborn.
Targaryen, Mother of Dragons, the Unchained, the Unburnt.
Yeah, Daenerys, etc.
Misa, Queen of the Unburnt Sea, or the Great Grass Sea, or...
Yeah.
She has more titles than a library.
She's now not just thickly armored. She's now also kind of a bitch.
Kinda. She turns in there.
And I we talked about this a little bit. I love the fact that a lot of season 5 and really a portion of season 6 are devoted towards managing the vacuum of power that she leaves in her wake. Mm-hmm. I was pleased to see all of that come back and bite her. But these people, Jorah Mormont and Barristan Selmy, nobody is advising her that, hey, you can't just sweep through here.
You can't just treat people like this.
Yeah, and expect it not to go sideways. So I don't know. The bit early in season 5 where she executes the man in the street, in spite of the fact that literally everybody in the city is going, no,
No, don't want to do that. Don't do that.
Rome is the mob.
Yeah. She didn't learn that lesson.
Yeah, indeed not.
She's Daenerys, full of titles.
Yeah.
But she has more plot armor than anybody.
She does. Well, she has more plot armor than anybody, but gosh darn it, Arya starts to put on her own towards the end of season 6, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Super duper frustrated with that. Jon Snow.
Johnny.
Must have horrible self-esteem.
He does.
He's probably getting really tired of everybody telling him that he doesn't know anything.
Well, it's just redheads.
And
Redheads
it
don't
was
like
super duper creepy when Melisandre did it, though.
Oh, yeah, wasn't it?
Super duper creepy.
She saw it in her flames.
Indeed. Although the extent to which that goes sideways, we'll talk about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Stannis Baratheon. For one bright, shining moment, Stannis was not a prick.
Yeah.
For one bright moment.
And then he wrecked it.
Yeah. When he's having this conversation with his daughter about, Mom wanted to leave me behind, and this and that and the other, and am I a burden to you, and are you ashamed of me? The response that he gives and the speech that he
was
gives
heartwarming.
Was just spot freaking on. That's the answer that every father should give his daughter.
And then, spoiler alert, he sets her on fire.
And with that, it's like, no, still, back to being a dick again.
Yeah, and a huger dick. I mean,
not subtle at all.
He banked dick and cashed it in later.
I snorted a little bit when Brienne got a hold of him there at the end.
Yeah.
Sansa is still an idiot. Not only did she take Littlefinger's word for it when he told her that she was capable of political manipulation, she repeatedly, I don't know, let's walk into a dog kennel behind a locked door with somebody who's clearly creepy.
Insane.
Yeah, she's never watched a horror movie.
Psycho of the Month Club.
And she doesn't stop being. She doesn't really stop being an idiot until the very, very end of season 6, and then it's less that she stops being an idiot and more that she turns into a different kind of idiot.
Meaning,
they're the Battle of the Bastards. There's this big run up about how are we going to win the battle? How are we going to win the battle? You need to, and she's going back and forth with Jon. You need to listen to me. We need to wait for more people. What other people are there?
Yeah.
And she doesn't say anything about the Knights of the Vale.
Yeah, should have cashed that in.
Yeah. And not only that, but the Knights of the Vale, the business with the Knights of the Vale coming in at the end of that battle, the Knights of the Vale missed the opportunity to contribute deeply meaningfully on an order of 60 seconds.
Sure.
If they would have shown up a minute earlier, and they were all there, they were all sitting there with Littlefinger, wait, I need time to look really smug.
I have time to gloat.
Yeah, don't
Time to
charge
gloat.
yet.
Wait.
Don't charge yet.
Okay, go.
Yeah, and no, freaking get in there. That whole thing was just so frapping irritating. And then there's this touching scene afterwards at Winterfell up on the parapet between Jon and Sansa about, we can't keep secrets from each other anymore. There's a bigger war coming. We have to trust each other. Yes, we do. There's hugging and awe. And then there's that scene in the Godwood with Sansa and Littlefinger where he pretty much
Kiboshes all that.
espouses what his motivations are.
Keep secrets.
I want the Iron Throne, and I want you to be with me when we get to the Iron Throne. Oh, okay, great. Then there's the business with Jon becoming the new King of the North, which, I can't be excited about that. And then the entire time, Littlefinger's sitting there stewing in the back of the room, and Sansa's not going, that guy right back there.
Don't trust him.
He's not on board with you becoming the King of the North.
He's Uncle Sleazebucket.
Yeah, how do you not... I don't know. Sansa, still an idiot.
Uncle Creepy.
Indeed. I can hold it off no longer. We
Okay.
have to talk about Arya.
All right, let's talk about our girl.
Season 5 and 6 were full of highs and lows for her.
We got our training montage.
We did finally get our training montage. She goes through the process of becoming a total badass. But there's clearly tons of story that's not on the screen that I'm hoping is in the book. For instance, in the TV show, Arya suddenly finds out what the fountain in the middle of the House of Black and White is for. Mm-hmm. And she suddenly knows what she's supposed to do with the little girl when the father comes to her, and she knows what to say to him, and she knows what to do with the bowl. And there's clearly not just backstory there, but there's probably really good backstory.
They skated over a lot of that in the show, but they go into it more in the book about her duties as an acolyte as she's, before she goes into her training montage.
It's frustrating. It's very, very, because that whole business, you just devote season 5 to her doing that. I mean, it just would have been so good. The Hall of Faces,
Little creepy.
tiny little bit creepy.
Just a bit.
Yeah, very, very much so creepy. And since we're already talking about Arya, I have to.
What about boy Jaquin?
I still love him. I still absolutely love him. I'm skipping down through my notes here. I can't do it anymore. Arya must be the only person in the world that does not die immediately.
Survives
from multiple stab wounds
to the guts,
to the abdomen, and the little blonde girl that does it must be the worst killer in the world.
I don't know how they got away with that. They pushed that a little too far. If she'd come out of the water and like pulled a rabbit out of her, a dead rabbit out from under her tunic, that would have made more sense.
Has the wherewithal to roll off, swim, not die, doesn't get any terrible infection from what is surely filthy water running through the stream she dives into.
Oh yeah. They pushed that a little far.
Yeah. And then she does, I've just escaped from a master assassin. What am I going to do? I'm going to go back to the actress that I showed pity for when the other master assassin discovered me and rocked my world anyway. And she didn't.
Yeah. It was a weak scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she still acted well.
Her plot, yes, she did. And
Maisie's my Daisy.
After the blonde faceless killer comes back and finds her and kills the actress, after one night of sleep and rest, now with abdominal wounds, she can get up and running and jumping and climbing trees, vaulting over balconies without breaking legs, without reopening wounds.
Hey, a long rest restores all hit points.
Indeed. And then when her wounds finally do open, she's solvent enough to win a blind sword fight against somebody who's clearly better at combat than she is. And I've just...
Now, they don't go into this, and actually in the book, the little blonde girl is a friend and ally. They don't have this little rivalry thing. But in the books, unlike every other thing that they've done with the TV show, Arya can warg. When Arya is running around blind, they give her that potion and turn her blind, she starts seeing through cats.
All right, then.
Yeah. And one of the tricks that she does is while she's blind, somebody will come up behind her and hit her with a stick, and eventually she learns to see through the cats and stops the stick, and that's when they know she's, advanced past that particular test. So if she had a fight in the dark against another, if she could see through the cats, that would have been an explanation. But because the show is writing out every little bit of warging and direwolving, everything but dragons, you don't get that awesome little bit of subtext.
I won't lie. I really wish Arya would have stuck with Jaqen. I know this isn't popular. I was really enjoying the heartlessness and single-mindedness that the authors and the showmakers were allowing her to roll with. She demonstrated it on several different occasions while she was traveling with the Hound. She demonstrated it when she just walked away from the Hound. I sometimes good people go bad, or at least worse than you'd like them to be.
You're going to enjoy season 7.
Oh boy, the payoff at the end when she finally does Walter Frey, was not disappointing. That was not disappointing. But I mean, she's so much better when she's a stone cold killer. She really, really is. So much better as a stone cold killer. But I'm hoping season 7 kind of restores some of the luster there. I really, really am. Cersei Lannister.
Pretty much won the season.
This is another, no doubt. This is another character who goes through a lot of ups and downs, just in terms of,
and that's just with her brother.
Her writing, indeed, in terms of her writing ability, or not the quality with which the character is written. And I don't know if that's George R.R. Martin and poor writing on his front, or if it's the script writers. she continually, for as much of a chess master as she's touted to be, you know, Lannister, the smartest, the toughest, she continues to make some of the most rookie, amateur mistakes and responding poorly to them. Arming religious fanatics.
Bad idea.
Never, ever going to be a good idea. And where the hell did the religious fanatics even come from?
Much more detail in the book.
I just you go they're not a problem, and then suddenly in season 5 there's a High Sparrow, and then suddenly in season 5 he's got enough support behind him that he can break into one of Peter Baelish's
Houses of ill repute.
and wreck stuff. Which how he doesn't have, you know, eunuchs or burly men guarding that place.
Yeah.
I just that shite should have never happened.
Strong sellswords.
But they.
He comes out of nowhere much more than in the books. There's a lot more foundation to it.
You know, it's just it really for the TV show anyway felt like, oh well, we need something to do for the next 2 seasons until winter gets here. So zealots,
Yeah.
and you know they did that in King's Landing, and they also did it in Marine. You know, Sons of the Harpy, zealots. We need some shit to do until Dany's, you know, army is ready and her ships are ready and blah blah blah. So zealots.
Yeah. Well, the Marine thing is pretty much, you know, Al Qaeda. The Western invader comes in and the locals don't like it and engage in terrorist activities to kill the Western invader and her forces, including our boy Barristan.
Yes, and that's the death of Barristan was sad, not tear-jerking, not heartbreaking. Very little in this show has been.
Yeah.
What I think maybe what bothered me more than anything else about a lot of what was going on in Marine, and I highlight this later on in my notes, and that's just completely gone to crap. The Unsullied are about as unimpressive a fighting force as I think I've ever seen. Who, yes, out on a battlefield, your shields, your spears, your phalanx formations, that's great, that's fine. But deploying them as urban combat troops with long spears, and I'm getting deeply into the weeds here in terms of logistics. And
she's using them wrong.
Yeah, but even then, you know, I'm so utterly unimpressed with.
Well, she's using them wrong. They're supposed to be either used in phalanxes or as personal bodyguards. They're not a police force. They're not constables.
Well, and apparently the Second Sons weren't doing any better too, and which, you know, again, you're
mercenaries.
You're using soldiers for
police work. Never works.
I'm not sure, you know, in the same role of Cersei, it being a bad idea for her to arm fanatics. I'm not sure how the High Sparrow thought it was going to end well, throwing the woman who was probably the single most powerful female in all of Westeros, not just throwing her into jail. No, Cersei.
No.
Yeah, not just throwing her into jail, but then abusing her
and humiliating her
while you're in jail, and then humiliating her after you get out of jail. Which props to Lena Headey for doing that with a straight face. God,
body double.
Damn, you think
it was?
Oh, revoked.
Weren't her.
How in the world could you not
expect retribution?
Yeah, if you're gonna take that kind of a snake and beat it up, you just need to kill it.
Yeah.
And so when shit finally does go, oh boy, howdy, the last episode of season 6, when shit finally does go down,
explosive.
Yes, quite.
Not usually used in shows like that, but that was explosive.
Yes, indeed it was. The Battle of Hardhome, something that kind of stuck out with me in there, and now we're to the point I'm very, very sorry. I lost the will to start binding my notes together, so we're going to become a little erratic now.
Oh, well.
How is it that arrows are killing the undead? Everybody knows the zombies resist piercing damage.
No, it's skeletons resist piercing damage.
Yeah, I mean, the logic behind what is precisely driving them, other than just sheer magic, amuses me a great deal. Because if it is sheer magic, then an arrow to the midsection of a skeleton that has nothing in it whatsoever shouldn't kill it if it's magic.
Well, I
that's
need
driving it.
to remember. I didn't watch this one with you. Were they using the obsidian arrowheads?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, because the dragon glass does just straight out kill them. So
Yeah. No. Just lots of people with bows and arrows somehow killing skeletons, which a little bit too far into the.
didn't work in Pirates of the Caribbean either.
The emissary of the Lord of Light, going back to where Melisandre.
Oh.
Going back to when Stannis is trying to march on Winterfell.
Uh-huh.
You're telling me the emissary of the Lord of Light did not see sabotage by fire coming?
No.
Melisandre is another one of those characters that the writing just takes the piss out of her. If you're gonna have somebody be a zealous prophet capable of doing some of the crazy shite that she's capable of doing, she has to be right and has to be powerful all the time.
Right.
Otherwise, she loses all of her mojo. And she clearly screws up with Stannis.
And aged visibly before our eyes.
Yeah, I mean, that was neat, but I'm not sure what the point of it was.
Yeah.
That's
Plot hole.
Yes, it is. The burning of Stannis' daughter. Wow.
About the worst moment of the show.
Wow.
Yeah. So there weren't a lot of heartbreaking moments. That was one of them.
I don't know about heartbreaking, but there's, there have been a couple of moments in the show when I just kind of went, they went there. Yeah. The part of Russell Crowe will now be played by Jorah Mormont.
Yeah.
What fate poor Jorah? Go and heal thyself.
Go and heal thyself. Take care. Come back when you feel better.
God only knows what pivotal moment he will ride in either season 7 or season 8, but you know that there will be a pivotal moment, and you know that Jorah Mormont will show up in it. The foreshadowing in this show, oh my goodness, it's so difficult.
What are you foreshadowing now, specifically?
Well, the business with Jorah riding off, and I don't know if you can necessarily call that foreshadowing just as much as you could. Just really poor. That's going to come back. It's so hard for anything in the show to surprise me anymore. There are so many heavy-handed tropes. We'll go ahead and skip to the end of my season 5 notes here. So dies Jon Snow. Except he's not dead.
He's not dead.
He's not dead because the Red Woman is there.
Yeah.
And the Lord of Light is bringing people back to life. So there's nothing... Jon Snow is dead. Yeah. There's nothing about that. And when they brought him back with a man bun. Shame on you. Some things should not be brought back, and that's one of them.
What's next? Skinny jeans with your leather armor?
God. I just... So yeah, that's one of those things that's just really, really hard to be. It's really, really hard to be surprised by a lot of what's going on in the show anymore, because they've been so heavy-handed with their foreshadowing and the allusions to things happening in the future. The sending off of Jorah Mormont, he's gonna get cured. Because he's a critical enough character. I won't call him principal, but he's a critical enough character that his death won't happen off screen.
Yeah, he's up there in the top tier of supporting characters.
And he's not just gonna die. He's not just gonna die by grayscale.
Davos and the Spider and Varys and he's top tier supporting character.
Yeah, I mean it's not he's war White Walkers. Then you cut to a scene of Jorah Mormont in an asylum doing nothing but clawing at the walls, and that's the end of Jorah. And then they go back to that's
won't
not
happen.
how that's not gonna that
won't happen.
Yeah, won't happen like that at all. So you just know that he's gonna come in someplace else, and that kind of takes the piss out of the moment when it finally does happen.
The fun goodbye.
Yeah, it really does. On one hand, the scene where everybody gets cornered inside of the Colosseum with Dany and her dragons, abruptly changing subjects here.
Okay.
Where everybody gets cornered in the center of the Colosseum with Dany and her dragons was kind of cool, and it was neat to see Dany finally get on a dragon and fly away. On the other hand, way to abandon your friends.
Yeah. Well, she didn't have control over Drogon. She was just joyriding.
Yeah.
She was in the passenger seat.
I did like the fact that, a couple minutes later, she's out in the countryside, the dragon's tied, the dragon's hurt. We need to go back to my friends. And the dragon just sort of shakes her off and, screw you, and goes to sleep.
You piece of.
Yeah. Tyrion. We finally get back to Tyrion. Nice to see him in the saddle. I was tired of him sulking and not being entertaining.
Yeah. He has a lot of entertaining scenes.
He does. He has a ton of entertaining scenes.
The writers still like him best.
Watching him finally get back into the swing of things, watching him finally joining back up with Varys, those two, they make me so freaking happy.
They're a good comedy pair right there.
Yeah, I unfortunately I think Varys is probably doomed at some point. But holy moly, it's nice to see them back in action again. That good writing, clever, good decisions.
Just the fact he kept trying to get Missandei and Grey Worm to tell a joke.
Yes. I'm a soldier. I've been a soldier all my life. You think I've never heard jokes?
I do not play. I do not play games.
Yeah, it's nice to see him back in action. Davos, Seaworthy, I believe is his name. Davos Seaworth. Next to Tyrion and Arya, Davos might be my favorite character in the whole show.
He's like the only guy with a true moral center.
Yeah, and I think he's just a
good dude.
He's just a real dude trying to do a real thing there.
Yeah.
Toby,
half dog.
You want to come get on camera again, Toby?
You want to be on camera again?
Yeah.
Little snot. Come here. Oh, come here. Come here. Let's run away.
Trying to make you famous, Hound. Ladies and gentlemen.
Look, he's Toby the half dog again.
Toby the half dog.
And he still won't look at the damn camera. Fine, I'll sit here and pet you. Just hold still.
So many different opportunities for Davos Seaworth to gut Melisandre like a carp.
And you know he wants to.
Oh my gosh. When things finally come to a head at the end of season 6, you know he just wants to gut her like a fish.
And you know how, because he knows fish.
Oh, the scene is... the people who write him are so stinking good. I don't think he's had a low moment in the entire series.
Well, except for that time he was, blown off his ship and almost drowned. And
well, I mean, and when I say a low moment, I don't think he's ever been poorly written.
No,
he's always just been written so well. And the point when they're all holed up inside a Castle Black, and he thinks the door's about ready to get knocked down, and boys, I haven't been in a real sword fight for a long time now, so I'm sorry for what you're about to see. Just good deadpan, good deadpan comedy, deadpan comedy. Really, really was. Season 6.
Okay.
Finally into my season 6 scratch notes here.
Sure.
If we can't talk about frostbite, can we talk about hypothermia, please?
No, cold is not cold.
that
is
just
not
kills
cold.
me. Freaking Theon Greyjoy and Sansa Stark running through the woods, wading through frozen rivers, and not dying.
The cold isn't
horribly.
The cold isn't cold.
I can't do it. Yeah. We talked about the foreshadowing a little bit earlier, and I remember that I had notes here, and now I'm finally at those notes.
We had good foreshadowing of the foreshadowing.
We had good foreshadowing of the foreshadowing, in good keeping with what we've been talking about. The pursuit of Sansa Stark by Brienne of Tarth is another one of those moments.
World's worst bodyguard?
She does seem to be lacking somewhat in that area. Not for trying. God love her.
Not from the skill, but really from the initiative.
Yeah.
If you're a bodyguard, sometimes you have to take the control away from the person you're protecting.
Yeah.
And from doing stupid things.
But that's one of those things where she finds Sansa, she finds Littlefinger, they tell her to sod off, and so she decides, you know what, I'm going to keep watching him anyway. Yeah. So again, there's no surprise at all when Theon and Sansa are about to get swarmed under by Ramsay's goons, and then all of a sudden Brienne of Tarth shows up.
The 6'3" Titan.
And puts boot to ass. There's no, Brianna's here, everybody's safe. There's none of that at all.
Because you knew she was around.
Yeah, you knew she was around. You knew that was going to happen. You absolutely knew that was going to happen. And the other thing, again, we talk about Jon Snow's resurrection at the hands of Melisandre. That whole business with Jon's resurrection frustrates me on a couple of different levels, because you've got the drunken priest of
Thoros,
the Lord of Light, who can do that on command and knows what to do and says a prayer and he pops up. Melisandre apparently is incapable of saying a prayer over Jon Snow and is suddenly doubtful that she commands the power to do it, and so has to resort to speaking gibberish over Jon Snow's body, and still doesn't think it's happened until the very, very, very end of that episode, and all of a sudden he pops up like a marionette. And that right there, okay, boom, Melisandre rides away from Stannis' camp right before they're about ready to take on Ramsay at Winterfell. Okay, that was the beginning of the end for her. Her so sloppily raising Jon back from the dead. We just need to replace his batteries.
Yes.
That character, it's like, we couldn't figure out what to write for her. We couldn't figure out how to make this cool. Is it like that in the books?
No. Well, they are way past the books with the whole stuff. In the books, Jon has just gotten stabbed. Melisandre is off with Stannis. They haven't done the horrible "let's burn our daughter" thing. Mm-hmm. It's a completely different set of circumstances. So nobody knows exactly how Jon's going to come back from the dead in the books because it hasn't happened yet.
Okay. I that whole thing, and maybe that's why they just don't have any of George R.R. source material to work with anymore. But it's like,
because he wrote 2 books in 17 years and counting.
I just don't understand how that all went so sideways so quickly. It's very, very poorly written, very, very poorly representative. Bran,
The Three-Eyed Raven.
the Three-Eyed Raven. His storyline is now officially more interesting, not because of him, but because of Max von Sydow.
Well, yeah,
They had one old guy, and they decided that he wasn't nearly interesting enough, so they switched him out for Max von Sydow in season 6.
Ming the Merciless, yo. Everything's better with Ming the Merciless in it. They just need Brian Blessed.
I have no freaking idea what's going on with Bran. I have no idea what's going on with his flashbacks. Obviously you figure out, that Willis is Hodor and why he says Hodor, and we'll get to the business with Hodor's demise here in a little bit. You go through all those flashbacks, but other than that, so much of the early parts of the show was so past my head that there's clearly supposed to be some kind of significance here with these flashbacks. You just have no frapping idea what it is. And the flashbacks end after a cheap kill of a 2-bladed swordsman who was clearly going to school Ned Stark like a punk bitch. Mm-hmm. And he gets stabbed in the back because that was honorable.
It's not honor, man. It's war.
But then they get up to the tower and they find somebody who I don't know who it is, who I think is a sister, who is wounded horribly.
Not wounded,
but I can't tell. Well, I can't tell if it's wounded horribly or if it's just the childbirth has gone tits up. And then there's a baby that I guess is supposed to have lighter hair, but then you flicker back to a picture of Jon Snow, so the baby's supposed to be Jon Snow. But there's that whole thing is such a huge freaking non sequitur.
Hey, I was toe-headed blonde when I was little, so hair gets darker.
And that's only part of the problem that I have with Bran's storyline.
Okay. Do you know what happened at the Tower of Joy?
No fucking clue.
All right. This is covered in the first book when after Ned gets his leg broken in the fight in the streets.
Yes.
He gets stabbed in the book.
Yes.
But yeah, he gets. Yes. All right. So he's having fever dreams, and he goes back to that whole scene.
Okay.
After Robert's Rebellion is over, King's Landing has fallen, Rhaegar is dead, the Mad King is dead, Rhaegar's 2 children and his wife are dead. Oberyn Martell's sister.
Yes.
Ned Stark and 6 of his buddies go to this place called the Tower of Joy, which is being guarded by 3 Kingsguard, and there's absolutely no reason for 3 Kingsguard to not be guarding a king, to get his sister back. If you recall, or if you didn't know, Rhaegar Targaryen kidnapping Lyanna Stark was one of the things that set this whole war off.
But he didn't kidnap her. They loved
There
each
is
other.
implication that he didn't kidnap
And they had a little
her,
baby.
And they had a little baby.
And that means that Jon Snow
is
a
a
Targaryen.
Targaryen.
Wah.
Not just a Targaryen.
The oldest Targaryen.
Not only the oldest, but the technical heir to the throne, because he was Rhaegar's son as opposed to Daenerys.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
When you hear book folks talk about R plus L equals J, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about Rhaegar plus Lyanna equals Jon.
Okay.
And it's one of the great theories that was never actually confirmed until that episode.
Wow. Wow.
Big
Yeah,
doings.
That's gonna make things frapping awkward.
That makes things awkward. Well, the problem is nobody knows that except Ned, who's dead, Howland Reed, who has never made an appearance, and now Bran. But who's going to listen to him? Because, he's running around in the woods getting pulled around by the mother of dragons.
Yeah. That's good. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Huge moment.
The other thing that we have to talk about when it comes to Bran, and I'm skipping down through my notes here, I'm going to guess that Max von Sydow's character is somehow a very, very old Bran, and there's some weebly-wobbly, timey-wimey, hinky shit going on here.
There is some wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, hinky stuff. In the books, he is not Bran. In the books, he is actually a Targaryen. Of Targaryen blood. He's one of the great bastards. He was the spy master for one of the previous Targaryen kings. Eventually took the black, became Lord Commander, and then vanished, supposedly to become the Three-Eyed Raven.
Who's been alive for many, many moons, which means there was
Stuck
another
to a tree, yes.
Which means there was another Three-Eyed Raven before him.
Maybe.
Ad infinitum, and that's just weak tea.
Maybe there was. Or maybe, there was just Green Seers and Children of the Forest.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just
But that's who that is.
yeah, kind of weak tea. Roose Bolton. Not sure how we thought that Ramsay was going to end well.
Oh, yeah. Never a good idea to give a psychopath a knife and tell him that, hey, I'm having a legitimate son, but you're still my boy.
Yeah, a knife or power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he thought that was going to end well.
It didn't end well for anyone.
Indeed, in the realm of
Crafty motherfuckers who screwed up. He's towards the top of the list there.
indeed, and I've got notes here later on. The way that he finally goes is
Ramsay or Roose?
Ramsay. Couldn't have happened to a nicer.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer
Couldn't
guy.
have happened to a nicer guy.
I just kept waiting for that little truck wagon to go running across the screen.
Yeah,
It's like
no
the old
doubt.
commercials.
Yeah. Oh boy, a brother to the Iron King just happens to show up.
Oh, urine?
Yeah. Really? And I'm certain, I'm hoping that there's an explanation for this in the books.
He shows up much faster in the books.
I,
He actually shows up right after the King of the Iron Islands dies, because the implication is that he killed him. Well, he does kill him in the movie or in the show. So.
yeah, and that's just sloppy writing. There just happens to be a guy show up, and there's a thing, and so now there's conflict. There's just sloppy.
Well, Ramsay's dead. You have to have another psychopath.
Yeah, but he at least is a little bit more of a charismatic psychopath. They did drown him. They didn't drown Theon, but they did drown him.
Yep. Oh, they drowned Theon way back when he got back. Oh no, they just poured water.
No,
on
they
his
just
head,
poured
didn't
water over him.
That's right. In the books, they drown him.
Danny finally does something intelligent in terms of problem solving, and that she burns a house down around herself.
Oh yeah. Plot armor. Fireproof plot armor.
Indeed.
3 inches thick fireproof plot armor.
That said, strange people, the Dothraki. I just killed all of your people. Follow me.
Yeah.
Burn the witch? Oh, wait. Yeah.
Can't burn the witch. She's fireproof.
Can burn the witch.
She has fireproof plot armor.
We made it all the way through. Hi, Toby. We make it all the way through season 6, almost all the way through season 6, before, in the midst of every other piece of blatant flesh on this show, we finally get blatant Wang. Do you remember this at all? The actor?
Was it Dario?
No, it was one of the actors when Arya is casing the actress to to try to kill the other one.
They have a couple of brief scenes, like when Cersei is doing her walk of shame, one of the guys runs in front of her and flashes her. He shows Wang.
I missed it clearly, but blatant in your face. I've got 2 words on my clock.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Well, okay, that was pointless.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yay, Wang.
equal opportunity now.
Equal opportunity nudity.
Arya. Again, Arya. I love her to death, but she's frequently allowed to hang around in places. More this developing of plot armor for her. She's frequently allowed to hang around in places where she shouldn't be allowed, and where somebody somewhere should go, oh, the fuck are you? There's the business in the brothel.
She spends a lot of time in the books blending in and just hanging around places. She learns how to be invisible in a crowd.
So there's that. I can judge. I started realizing that I was getting bored in seasons 5 and 6 when I found myself more and more beginning to nitpick just certain things of the show. It's like, in the midst of everything else that's going on, that leaf over there is turned the wrong way. There's no way a leaf on that tree would grow naturally in that direction. I can judge my level of boredom with this show based on how many other non-show related items I'm beginning to nitpick. Mm-hmm. The giant statue of the 2 horses battling in
Vice
Dothrak, from a physics standpoint, no, that had never happened.
Not happening.
And at the point where I called that out, there's beautiful sweeping vistas and these statues of horses, and the only thing I can think of is, no, the legs on those horses are like this big around compared to the rest of it. No,
snap right into
fall over.
Yeah.
And then I laughed because it's just like, really,
shouldn't have mentioned
in
that.
In the midst of everything else that's going on, that's the only thing you take away from this scene.
Yep.
Hodor.
Willis.
So dies Hodor.
The launcher of a million memes.
This will probably get me stoned somewhere. I don't understand what all the fuss with Hodor is about. He has a pitiful amount of screen time.
He has a lot of lines.
Yeah, he does. He does have a lot of lines. He's got a pitiful amount of screen time. When he is on the screen, he's not doing anything remarkable. There's only one point in the entire show where he does something that kind of makes you go and snicker a little bit, and that's when he shows up naked in season 1.
More Wang, yeah.
I don't understand.
It was the death of a true innocent. It was like when they had to chop off Lady's head,
Yeah. No, sorry. I didn't know Hodor well enough to be hugely sad for Hodor. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about Arya betraying Jaqen.
She didn't betray him. She flat out told him, "I'm Arya Stark, and I'm going home. I got Freys to kill."
I'm still just sad that they wouldn't go all the way full bore with her. Odin shows up in the show very briefly, which is so unfortunate.
He does.
But when he popped up in the show, I was like, Ian McShane is in the hizzy, but he gets lynched this time. So turnabout's fair play.
Well, Odin sacrificed himself to himself and hung himself from a tree. And
yeah, I wished he would have stuck around. What a good grief! You waste freaking Ian McShane on a bit part. Oh,
Well, he was filming another show at that time.
Oh.
It was American Cats.
oh, is that really? Is that?
I don't know if that was concurrent or not.
My
but,
goodness, it was so. I was so happy when he showed up.
but he had some choice words with the Hound.
He did. Oh, and now we have to talk about how the Hound shows up. But that's another one of those things where we talk about poor foreshadowing and poor storytelling. The Hound shows up. He's trying to be better. So even before everything goes tits up,
You know
things are going to go tits up. And then when things finally do go sideways on him, you know that somebody's going to give the lecture. You can't walk away from war. War is in your blood. All you have to do is war the best that you can. And yeah, sure enough, somebody gives him that lecture. That having been said, the Hound is another one of those people like Davos that is every single time, whoever's responsible for writing him just drive nails.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time. He has never been anything other than exactly what he is. Right, right. You're shit at dying, you know that?
Bad at this.
Yes.
Yes, the Hound.
I think I finally like
Hound
Giant.
rocks it all.
He does. The Hound is so good. I have no idea what the name of the guy who plays him is, but
Rory... somebody.
yeah, so good. So good.
Come a long way since Hot Fuzz.
Indeed. I think I finally like Giant's Bane.
Tormund?
I think I
How could
finally
you not like
Giants. He's he's another one of those people that there's been slow, steady, appreciable character growth with, but he's still got enough rough edges on him.
Oh, yeah.
And he's that beard.
Dorvor wants to grow up to be Tormund.
I was legitimate. I sniffled a little bit when Ramsay killed the giant. I sniffled a little bit after everything when they finally break into Winterfell and Ramsay kills the giant. I did sniffle a little bit there.
Oh, but you didn't like it when you didn't care when Hodor died. But you
No,
were all about 1-1.
A bizarre thing.
Okay.
1-1 got more screen time than Hodor.
Well, yeah, didn't have as many lines. So.
Indeed, but he had more words in his lines. Long live the freaking Queen of Thorns.
Olenna Tyrell.
Holy crap. She's another one of those people that just continues to be.
Well, it's Diana Rigg. She's the best actress left in the show.
She's so good. Oh my gosh, that scene at the very end when she's over in Dorne, talking to the lady and her daughters. You look like a little boy. Do you have anything that you want to say? No, of course not. Shut up and let the adults talk.
Yeah.
So good.
She spits poison.
You could just eat it with a fork and a knife.
Just poisonous truth every time she opens her mouth.
It's so good. It's so
She
good.
suffers no fools.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was just, that whole scene just made me giggle. It made me very, very sad to see Tyrion and Varys part ways, but I'm delighted that it was. That's another one of those moments. It's Tyrion. Some of the few legitimate, sad sort of sniffle moments that I've had so far in the show have all revolved around Tyrion. The relationship that he has with Varys is so good, I think they might have even been in the last episode of season 6 when they talk about parting ways, and then you realize what Varys has gone off to do, and they pop back up together on the ship during that last season and during that last shot.
Yep.
In season 6,
They're on a boat.
They're on a boat. Jaime Lannister. We haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about him.
Lefty.
I can't help feeling like Jaime Lannister would have been a much more interesting character if the show writers would have just let him be a little bit more interesting. His waffling and conflict between being madly in love with Cersei and clearly very, very interested in doing the right thing, and
He's the closest thing the show has to a classic tragic Greek hero.
yeah, I get that there's a certain amount of poetry in knowing that he could never be with Brienne because he's beyond that kind of redemption. But the amount of waffling back and forth that he does about his involvement with Cersei, in spite of all the crap that she's done to him,
Oh yeah.
I was like, dude, sack up.
She's cheated on you with your cousin and the Kettle Blacks and
Yeah, that sniffle worthy. But yes, I think you told me pretty early on that Jaime's character would grow up to be really, really well done. And he has he's good to watch. He really, really is. And him and him and Braun.
Honestly, Braun just needs an MVP performer, Sixth Man of the Year, something.
Yeah,
because everybody he's with Tyrion, he rocks it. When he's with Jaime, he rocks it.
He's a fantastic. He's another character that's always just driving nails.
The only thing that he couldn't improve was the Sand Snakes, who I noticed you kind of just skimmed over because they were absolutely useless.
Yeah, I
nobody likes them.
That's one of those things that the Prince of Dorne, and now that we're here, we might as well talk about the Sand Snakes a little bit. A, where the fuck? Where do they come from?
Yeah.
But B, you're the Prince of Dorne. The Jaime Lannister has already come to take back Marcella because he's worried about her life. Mm-hmm. And then as he's in the process of taking her back, his dead brother's mistress, and her 3 little sand snake ladies try to come and clearly are intent on killing her as well.
Yeah.
And yet she's still continue. All 3 of them are still continue to run around and do whatever.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that's another one of those things that clearly just
better handled in the book.
Yeah. There just weren't enough hours devoted to that.
Yeah.
I liked the dynamic that the sisters had when they were on screen. It was neat to see some alternative forms of weapon play on screen. They were displayed as competent warriors on screen. Okay, that's great. That's fine. But all the way up to the kiss at the very end. We're going to allow you to see her off and poison and poison and poison, and we're just going to let you poison again. And there's so much of the writing in season 5 and 6 really falls down on itself.
Yeah.
We didn't mention the Sand Snakes for a reason.
Death of Marcella.
Wah wah. Another dead Lannister.
Death of Tommen.
The Russian judges only gave his landing a 3.
Well, now you know why they call the city King's Landing.
Wah wah. Yeah, he just walked up and boom.
That's it. Whee!
Yeah, I just... Okay.
My mother is a psychopath, and I can't emotionally deal with that.
I'm out!
We're gone.
And out the window he goes. I don't know what everybody's... This is another one of those things, another one of those little nitpicky things that I noticed. And the more I started keying on it, the more I started seeing it everywhere. I don't know what everybody's obsession in this show is with bloodying a weapon and then putting it away without cleaning it. It's everywhere.
Shouldn't do that.
I went back and skimmed through a couple of episodes in earlier seasons. It's everywhere.
You really shouldn't do that.
Stab somebody, blood over the weapon, back in the sheath.
Rusty.
I just... Clean them. That's all you have to do. Jon Snow is arrow-proof. The charge at the Battle of the Bastards outside of Winterfell. Jon Snow is arrow-proof. Can't shoot that man to save his life. Ramsay couldn't shoot him to save his life.
On the other hand, his little brother, he attracted arrows. Because he couldn't run in a straight line, He
was running in a damn straight line.
He couldn't
zigzag a little bit. You know how difficult it is? Yeah. The business with Cersei and the evil nun. I'm not a fan of Cersei.
Less a fan of the fanatics.
I have deep-seated problems with fanatics. There was a very small part of me that went, that's what you fucking get. You don't.
At least she wasn't ringing a bell yelling shame at you the whole time.
Oh, but boy, when she closes the door when not Clegane. No, it's Clegane. Gregor Clegane gets in there. Shame, shame, shame. When she closes the door. Freaking Gregor Clegane, the Mountain. I hope they keep him under wraps the entire time. What a brilliant way to carry that character forward.
Oh, yeah.
He and the Maester, who's not a Maester, whose name I can't even be
Qyburn.
bothered to remember.
Frank and Gregor.
That's wonderful.
He's just 2 bolts in his
That's
neck away from
so good. Yeah. We will. If you come with us, there won't be violence. I choose violence. The guy sticks something into his chest, pulls it out.
Yep, splat.
It's just. That's
The head crusher.
so good. That's so good. There's something about watching a juggernaut ply his trade. There really, really is. Yeah, when everything blows up at the end of season 6.
Literally.
Wildfire. Yeah. It's just like, wow. When in doubt, blow up a part of the
Burn
city.
it down.
When in doubt, blow up a part of the city.
Which brings in the question. Well, into some deeper character development. If you think back, why did Jaime Lannister kill the Mad King? Because he was going to
Fair
burn
point.
down the city.
Yeah.
How does he think when the love of his life burns down a big chunk of the city?
No doubt. And that's, now that you mentioned, that is a recurring theme. That's a neat tie-in. They make a point of, justifying, why did I kill the Mad King? Because the Mad King wanted to go and start burning people for shits and grins.
Mm-hmm. He wanted to burn down the city and let him rule over ashes.
Just
That's
one
what he said.
step. But, Cersei's just one step away from that.
Oh, yeah.
Credit to Lena Headey.
She plays bad.
That is a
well.
frigid bitch. Credit where it's due. Holy moly. The reveal of the Great Library in Old Town was clearly supposed to have been an impressive, emotional moment
Went by too fast.
for Sam.
It went by
He
too
said,
fast.
look, books!
It went by too fast.
The whole business was Sam. Gosh darn it, I know the show wants you to be invested in him, and I just can't be.
Just because he's the author of Avatar. George admits that, by the way. It's not supposition.
I just can't be bothered by Samuel Tarly.
He stole his dad's sword.
I can't. That's a great. He knows the value of.
Valerian steel.
Valerian steel. Great, yank that sucker. I would have stole it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't be bothered by Samuel Tarly. I really, really can't. It's a shame. He's going to live on.
He's not dead yet.
The young lady Mormont.
Little Lyanna.
That was so well done, and the way that Davos deadpans. If your warriors are as fierce as their lady is, the Boltons don't stand a chance.
Indeed.
Deadpan.
They bring 57 warriors, but it's more than enough.
Yeah, deadpan. Absolutely freaking deadpan when he delivers that line. And that right there is what absolutely confirmed Davos Seaworth is. Mm-hmm. He's all right. He can stay, and he'll have to end. Well, I don't know. I'm not confident enough of him to put him on the list of principals.
You have your core list of people who aren't going to die, of which you've only lost one, so that's a pretty good prediction.
Yeah.
Who are your next 10?
Beyond the core?
Mm-hmm.
Arya, Sansa, Tyrion, Cersei, Jaime, Bronn, and Dany are still on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Bran, not Braun.
Well, Bronn too,
But he's not a principal.
No. I mean, of your secondary characters, who do you think has the best chances of not dying? There's actually...
I would really love to see Davos hang on. I don't know about think at this point. I would really love to see Davos hang on.
There are online betting pools that basically, like fantasy football, where you pick who's going to die this week.
I'd love to see Davos hang on. I would love to see... I'd love to see Braun hang on.
Mm-hmm. Tormund, Brienne, Sam,
Brienne of Tarth.
Pod.
No, Sam. No, I don't care about Sam or Gilly.
No, but
or
do you
Baby
think
Sam.
he'll hang on?
Yes, he will. Yes,
So this is a survival pool, not a
they've
real life
spent
pool.
too much time. They've spent too much time making Sam a main character. Yes, he'll hang on.
Sand Snakes, Olenna,
No, they're.
Euron,
Who's Euron?
Greyjoy, the new psycho pirate.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I
Varys, Littlefinger.
I love Varys to death too, but he's gonna go, and he's gonna go tragically, and that's just gonna be another nail in poor Tyrion's coffin.
Grey Worm, Missandei.
Grey Worm and Missandei are another one of those things that, in the midst of everything else that's happening, they still want to show love blooming.
Mm-hmm.
and it's cute, but I just can't be bothered, and that's the problem. There are so few people beyond the principals that I can be bothered by in this show because it's just on such a poor job of character development for so many different people. Jakin, I'd like to see Jakin crop back up again.
Yeah, Jorah.
Yeah, God love Jorah Mormont. He's got a tragic death coming.
And a badass little sister.
Oh,
Or is it niece? I don't remember.
I don't know what she is, but she's pretty got balls of solid rock.
She does.
Holy moly!
Oh.
And then the speech that she gives, before everybody, Jon Snow, King of the North. Yeah, how'd that work for the last guy, dumbass? Yeah, no, she's frapping adorable. Another one of those moments that I was like, whoa, they went there. The death of Grand Maester Pycelle. Mm-hmm. I was okay.
We're done with this old man.
Yeah, that's one of the things that kind of now that suddenly Frankenmaester has access to the little birds now, and that he's suddenly using them. I do fear that something somewhere will run afoul for either the Frankenmaester or Varys when there's a struggle for control of the little birds, and you find out which one of them is.
It's Frankenstein, by the way.
Frodrick.
Frankenquibern, yes.
I do worry about that, the allegiance of the little birds. Who owns the allegiance of the little birds? Littlefinger's ass is probably going to hang on until the very end, which is too bad, because at this point there's nothing redeeming enough about him to tempt you to believe that he'll do anything else.
Well, you have to wait and see what accent he's going to bust out next.
No doubt. And whether or not he's going to continue being Batman.
English, Scottish, or Batman.
He's so far along down the hole now that there's nothing.
He's past the morality curve.
But there's nothing exciting about him anymore. Mm-hmm. Littlefinger is he's done.
His motives. He doesn't really have any other.
Yeah,
ploys.
Sansa has outed him, and she's outed him to Jon and to some of the other people.
She hasn't, but
Littlefinger is just he's run his course. He's no longer an interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that he interfaces with, for the most part, knows who he is and knows what he's after. So if he doesn't have any more tricks, he's not interesting. He's not interesting to watch anymore. Yeah. So. Yeah,
hard to be a con man when everybody knows you're a con man.
Yep, really, really is. Season 7. Gonna have to start chewing on season 7 now. Maybe we'll do weekly episode. Well, we can
recaps. We can do. We get you through the first 4 before Sunday.
Never happened.
I'm saying.
Never happened.
They're only halfway through, so 4 episodes. This Sunday is the 5th.
Yeah.
You could do a half season and then a half season.
No, we might have to. Woof. Yeah.
Well, there's 8 episodes, so maybe we can do 3, 3, and 2.
Yeah, we'll have to find time for those episodes, but we'll get it done.
3, 3, and 2.
It's an interesting enough show for me at this point that I'm going to continue watching.
You've come this far. There's only 15 episodes left. I mean, you've watched 60 episodes of this damn show.
It's true.
You got to go the last 15.
It's true. Yeah, I hopefully this show is popular enough that other high-budget swords and sorcery type television shows that are better than this will come along. Somebody was asking me about just my thoughts in general after drilling 6 seasons of this show. Half of its content could have been removed, and it would probably be better for it.
Oh, you haven't read the books.
There's far too much utterly pointless nudity and violence. And I'm not saying
nudity and violence.
Indeed. And I'm not saying that I'm not a fan of that stuff as much as the next red-blooded male is. But when you've got a good story to tell and it serves no purpose.
Did you watch the other Honest trailer yet?
No. No, I've already started on Australia yet. Need to get around to doing that.
Yeah.
It's a neat show, but now that the public has gone out there and consumed that, I almost want to stand up in front of everybody and go, listen, now that you've seen what mediocre swords and sorcery is like, now go back out there and if you want something that's full of tropes but is actually good, go read all of David Eddings' stuff. Go read freaking Raymond E. Feist. Go read Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea books.
Joe Abercrombie, if you really like it dark.
Yeah, go get yourself some freaking Rothfuss. Go read Name of the Wind. There are so many
Completely different scale.
I know. There are so many different, but talk about a great TV show.
Oh, yeah. They're talking about it.
And I hope they do it.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is going to write the music.
And more than anything else, what I really like and what I really appreciate about Game of Thrones and what I hope gets carried over from it is that
Dinklage can act.
Yes,
Maisie can act.
I just really want. I mean, this is a great genre that really kind of for a long time was maligned. Sci-fi people just kind of rolled their eyes about, but swords and sorcery, even as recently as the '80s, if swords and sorcery, Dungeons and Dragons, dice rolling nerd, but damn Skippy, along with everything else about that culture that's becoming more popular, okay, this is here, now let's
make it better.
Yeah, let's make it better, and there's so much good material that's out there. It's going to be swords and sorcery. Oh, Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. There's so and nothing but love for Tolkien. He's the grandfather of all this shite. But there are so many other really great worlds out there that they can explore that have more solid stories than this and don't have to rely on such cheap storytelling mechanics. So yeah, I really, really hope that the world as a whole takes hold of this and we can now start bringing to light.
Go find something better.
Yeah, go find something better.
And put Maisie Williams in it.
And put Maisie Williams in it.
She can act.
And Peter Dinklage in it too.
Peter Dinklage.
Both of them. It's just two of them in dialogue. That's all you need is two of them in dialogue.
And
Braun.
And the Hound.
And the Hound. Yeah, we'll just start.
That's what you need. You need to have just like the greatest race or whatever, where they run around the world. Two teams. You have Braun and Tyrion, and you have Arya and the Hound.
Oh my gosh! And it'd just be nothing but amazing dialogue.
Yes, the amazing race.
Yeah, we'll make a list of the characters that could stay and the characters that could go, maybe.
Sure.
When all this is said and done. But until then, keep watching. We'll be back for season 7.
Beep.
There we go.
Second verse, same as the first.